Yep, we're on.
All right, we're going to call the meeting to order and start with the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, first thing I need, I'd like to adopt the agenda. Did I get a motion? Jeff, second. Sarah, second. All in favor? Aye. All right, motion passed. Good?
Yep.
All right, thank you everybody for showing up tonight. Before we start, I just want to let everybody know everything proposed here is not going to result in an increase in the taxes. December 2025, this capital outlay certificate is paid off. What we're hoping to do is ask the community in November of 2024 to purchase a new capital outlay certificate, which would maintain the taxes at the exact same rate of what they are now. If we did that, it would allow us to get a new playground, track, upgrades to the football field, as well as a stadium with the crow's nest. I can't say that enough. We're not asking for anything more than what we're currently giving. In 2010, the community has made a huge investment by getting this gym. It's become the place to be for the 281, and we'd like to do the same thing for our track and football fields. It would give us the opportunity to get the 281 track meets, the regions, as well as all the other schools would host their meets here. So it's an opportunity for that to happen. Our playground is getting pretty run down. Things are expensive now. And this would give us an opportunity to do that as well. So it would affect every kid from K through 12. And when you look around our community, you see a lot of young families moving back. A lot of young kids going to be coming into our school system real soon. So we're lucky in that aspect where having these young families move in, and we want to make it a place for them to keep coming. We're going to do it a little bit different. We're moving the community forum part to the end. Before we do that, Superintendent Rice is going to do a presentation about the football field, track. We don't have much about the playground in it because we know that's not why you're all here. But this will be the football and track proposal. There are about 4 or 5 options that we're going to talk about as far as the football field, the type of track, those type of things. Ideally, this is not a school board thing. This is going to be voted on by the people, but following these meetings, we want to establish a strategic planning committee made up of teachers, coaches, community members, as well as a few people from the board. We're hoping a 15-person committee that's going to reach out to the communities and determine which option we want to go with going forward, assuming there is one. But thank you guys for being here, and I will pass it on to Tom.
Am I okay talking to you like this? All right, I've got a boomer, so we'll just go that way. Well, first off, thank you for being here. And Mr. White did handle a lot of items there in just a few short minutes. So basically, again, welcome. Our board members that are here tonight, we do have a couple that are gone, and I know that Mrs. Hyder's at a wrestling meet because wrestling started already. But again, this is what we're about. Before we do anything, we want to be transparent with you so you know exactly what could be the possibility. So this is how I look. Sometimes I start with the end in mind. But I do want to know, in 2 years, what if we could build this facility, build a football field, create a better, safer playground? In 2 years. What if we're able to build those projects under our current mill levy or our current tax that we have now that Mr. White just talked about? In essence, not raising your taxes. The ability to think about or plan the future with imagination and wisdom. That is vision. Now, I'm going to tell you this is a 3D on our current footprint that we have right now, but I will also tell you this is pie in the sky. But when you built this place, you had things added on to it that were like, yeah, is that a need or is that a want? So as we look at this, we're like, is that a need or is that a want? And I'm very upfront as far as that, but this is pie in the sky. So the main gym that Mr. White talked about, 2011 was the best year that I could come down with. But what we have in here right now, 4 locker rooms, an AD and officials office, bathrooms, weight room, laundry facilities. We have our HVAC here. We have storage in the southwest. We have our ticket booths and concession stands. And that was paid with capital outlay certificates. That is the certificate that Mr. White talked about is going to be retired in 2025. We are currently using that for this and even more. The sports, the region and district events, PE classes, graduation, other public programs, and community outreach. This is going to be used on Wednesday for our blood drive. So if you haven't signed up, come and see me about that too. But the gym is still the best facility in the region. The story that I used the other day with the teachers is that when my son Grant heard that I was coming here, he goes, "Oh, Dad, they have got a great gym. You're going to love it." And I do. So, the old gym. Maybe some of you played in there. Currently, right now, in the 50s at some point, but we are still using it, but we are also doing some minor upgrades to that right now. Very thankful for the new maintenance manager that we have, but we're building a wall right now between the wrestling room and then what we're looking at doing for our weight room, a bigger weight room to serve all of our students and even possibly our community. And then even just some updates in that lobby area. So when you come in, you'll be able to come in and just say, wow, this is nice. We're taking care of our investments. So the track and field. What I learned, 70s to 80s when it was put in. Updates were done in 99 and a sealant was put on it in 2001, and that's what I got from our business manager. You can take a look at it, but we use that again for a lot of the same things. Track, football, there are community events that happen out there as well. Little kid football, you name it. I don't know exactly what all track meets were on that in the past, but I do know that the Jimmy Rarick meet was here at one time. And now we host that at Miller. It is not certified. I believe it's an old, what we call a 440 track or 440-yard track as compared to 400 meters. It is 8 lane, but if you go and take a close-up look, it has seen better days. And we would not be able to have this certified to run any meets whatsoever. And currently, as I've been helping out with track, I know that the athletes don't necessarily run on that every day in track just from the pounding that they take on the asphalt. So, what Mr. White again talked about was, how do we pay for these? Well, it's pretty simple. We raise funds through taxes, and these are 3 funds that your taxes go to. So just quick education, your general fund, that's what we do our year-to-year expenses on. Our capital outlay fund, which is what I would call our investment fund, anything that we are going to use for more than a year. That's the fund that we use. And then there's a special education fund. Again, for our special education students, and we even can pay special education teachers out of that. So when we're considering what fund to generate the money through, it is the capital outlay fund. So, just to get into it a little more, with the general fund, my pictures that I found here, heating, cooling, supplies, the money bag, salaries. Salaries takes up 75 to 80% of your general fund budget every year. We belong to the Core Educational Cooperative. They provide us services that we cannot necessarily provide for our students. We're members in the South Dakota High School Activities Association. When bills come from them, whether we go to state and we have to pay for hotel rooms or other dues, that's where the general fund money would go. I've got FFA on there, they Quiz Bowl, you name it. But we pay a lot of that stuff through the general fund. I have utilities, activities, athletics tend to run around 3% of your total general fund budget, just so you're aware. Capital outlay fund. The best way that I can describe that to you is that we're investing in ourselves. A lot of you are homeowners. You'll paint your house. You'll put a roof on it. You'll finish the basement. You'll do certain things like that. I remember Tara's pouring concrete for her driveway. Those are all improvements to what you have right now. And so that's what I put on here. The fund can be used for land, facilities, improvement of grounds or equipment. We'll buy a bus off of the capital outlay fund. Purchasing or lease of equipment, installment, or lease purchases payments, property, plants, equipment. But those are the types of things that are more than just 1 year. Those big purchases that you are doing to invest in yourself. So I'm sorry you can't read this too well. Didn't think it would show up that poorly on here. But the difference between the two, I've been kind of going through it just a little bit. So the capital outlay expenditures are for items that last for more than 1 year. For more than 1 year. They are our expenditures on a year-to-year basis. Now, the thing I will tell you is that the state of South Dakota does allow districts to use some of those funds to help pay for other items. So I said 45% of taxable capital outlay. You can put some of that into your general fund to pay salaries, you name it. There is not what we call a sunset on that or an end date. It's common practice. You just don't want to go in so deep that you can't function without it. Okay? So, enough on that. So how we're paying for it, like we've said, it is taxes. So the main gym, the capital outlay certificate, $261,805 a year. A year. This time, December of 2025, we're done. We're done. But that's why we're coming at you now. This is for planning. Our commons and administrative area, just so you know, that's $274,000 and change every year, and that'll be paid off December of 2035. So to move forward, that's what we're talking about with you. We don't want to raise your taxes. We just want to just stay where we are. We're not asking for more. Once the gym is paid for, we come to you, or we could if there's an appetite for that. That's the biggest thing. I will tell you too, the last one, the longer you wait, the more expensive it becomes, but that's with anything. Hey, I remember when Snickers bars were 11 cents. Okay. Shayla, you're like, what? Okay, so possibilities is what we're talking about here. So when the debt is paid off in December of 2025, the capital outlay tax will drop approximately 50 cents per $1,000 of assessed valuation. So the mill levy currently is 2.861 per 1,000 valuation. We'll go down to 236 once that's paid off. But that's where we're talking about the future. Now, laws have changed since the last capital outlay certificates were issued, so we would need to have a 2/3 vote to make this happen. We would need that. So, what I wrote, what could we do? We can ask that the mill levy just stay at 2.86 when our debt is paid. when it's paid. What could you do then? Well, it could allow us to move forward with the track, the football project, and the playground, but that's just not, you know, the big thing I think that everybody wants to talk about outside of the track and football field. But we can discuss how to move forward. So how? And this is what we can talk about. How would we move forward? Do you want to take the whole thing at once, or do you want to eat it in little pieces and go that way? But that is where we come in, because we have to first decide if we have an appetite for this. So this is just my drawing. I was explaining it to a teacher the other day. So the mill, 1 mill is basically $1 for every $1,000 of assessed value that I previously said. Currently, we're at 2.86 per 1,000. So if you had $10,000 of assessed value, your tax would be $28.61. If you had 100,000, $286.10. And if you owned $1 million worth of property, your tax would be $2,861 per year. I'm not the biggest math guy in the world, but I did understand this. I always have to make things that I get. And if it's something that you're not quite up with or not, I'll try and find a different way to explain it to you. That's part of being a teacher. So what can we do to help? Here's where we feel that we could do it better than maybe some of these other companies. We all have time and talents in different places. So somebody might say, hey, I can't give you this much money, but I could help you do something. Maybe you're a person that can help us tear the track apart. Maybe you're a person that could say, hey, I've got a load of dirt I could dump off for you. Maybe you're a person that has concrete experience and we're trying to make long jump pits or shot put areas. Maybe we can do that. Physical labor, mental effort, time, those are all valuable commodities. Gifts in kind, contributions, goods and services other than cash. For a guy like me, I might be able to help with some cash, but I have friends in the area to where I know I could find shot puts, discuses, and javelins. That would be a gift in kind. Monetary gifts. When you transfer money or some other type of financial instrument, and you do that without expecting to receive anything in return. My parents always told me, you do things not expecting a thank you. And if you do get one, consider yourself lucky. But you do it because you want to. And then advertising. Hey, if you want to do something and have the Jim White pole vault area, you know, the Tom Rice throw area, or the UTEC jumps area, that's fine. Or if you say, hey, I want to sponsor a lane. Those are all ways that you can advertise too. We can always talk about all of those different things. Okay, so we'll get into time for questions. And I'm going to let Jim, are you good with moderating that?
Sure.
Okay, we'll moderate that. I do have some other questions on here that I've kind of provided some answers for in case they come up. But right now, let's go ahead.
Are we into the community forum?
We'll go into the community forum. So this is how it's going to work. Jim's going to now explain community forum. And then you will be able to bring questions that you might have and go from there. And then we will answer them to the best of our ability.
So this is just about this project. You know, we're not going to talk about anything else than the football field, track, or playground. Those are the only thing we're going to accept questions on. But try to limit your questions or concerns or comments to 3 minutes. But other than that, you know, we don't have all the answers. This is the first meeting of what we can see as many. And our contact information's on the website, so you can approach us and send us information or questions. And then we'll do the best we can get back to you on it. But anything that, who would like to bring anything up right away? Anybody? It's a good time. you know, we just wanted to bring this project to you guys to see what everybody thinks, to see if it's a worthwhile to continue the investment that was chosen to back when this gym was put in. Yes?
Do you have an idea of how much it would cost for a new track, the football fields, bleachers, everything, if you were to do everything?
It depends on the type of football field. I don't think we need this, do we?
I think you're doing great, but that's me.
You know, synthetic turf is expensive, and it's not long lasting. If we knocked out and went with, say, recrowned it and put a sod just on the football field and did seating around the football field, as well as do the track and all that, we put the value would be about 1.5 in that range. To add the synthetic would probably be 3, would probably be around that range. And then also the seating, how intricate, how fancy, how big, you know, how much of the crow's nest, that will play into it also. So ideally, to get the playground that I think the school district deserves and wants is going to run around $750,000. That was the price that we got. That is synthetic. That's for the kid, or not. It's not like the track, but I mean it would make a nice, safe thing. If I had, me personally, if I had to pick between a track and the playground, I'm taking the playground every time because that gets used every day. But this has given us an opportunity to do it all. And still be below that 3 million range. Is that?
Yep.
But the planning committee is going to reach out to the community and figure out just how in depth and how much we want to spend on this project.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yes, Jeff.
What do we have in the capital outlay fund, and how much of that is used for teacher salaries at this point? And where does capital outlay fund usually run as far as the balance?
I know that our balance is at about 3.4 million right now, and that this year, I will get into this with you, but we're down, about 50 kids in the last 2 years. We've had big graduating classes, and we're looking at staying at around this 303 range, somewhere around there for a little while. And then we are going to be looking at projections on the kids coming in. As far as what we're spending right now, because of the loss of kids, I think we're going to transfer over 400,000. Yeah, possible. But my money lady knows.
Yeah,
But,
and part of the reason for some money, extra money in there is because of the ESSER funds, which will also disappear here.
And the ESSER funds are Sheena.
Yeah, so even though that kind of
Well,
helped
the
take
COVID funds, yeah.
COVID funds, which took care of, added so you didn't have to take it from.
So we won't talk about it here, but we are working on some things to hopefully boost our enrollment numbers, but that could be at our next board meeting. You can come and hear about that.
Is our capital outlay fund, because a few years back, that was the thing that they changed with the legislature, because all the schools had all this money in capital outlay and teachers, and they were all running in the red. And that's why they changed it. Is ours fairly indicative of other school districts around us as far as where our position is?
I can only tell you my experience in other districts because I don't necessarily look at other ones.
Yep.
Capital outlay wise, we're in better shape than the last 2 districts I have been in, as far as that. But is that normal or better or what? I do not know. I can go into the South Dakota Department of Education site and anybody can go and check on all the
They
districts.
have a list of all everybody's funds, right?
Yep, they do. They do. I just don't have all of those in the.
Yes, that's fine.
Right. Thank you.
And one other thing, what was, and Amy, Terry, you'll help me remember, just didn't remember. What was the cost when we did the commons? I was on the board then, I'm sorry, what was the cost of the commons project? Was it 3 million something?
It was a little over 3, it wasn't over.
Okay,
The
3.8?
How much was it?
3.8 I'm thinking? Ted, yeah, you might.
3.6 or 3.8.
You should remember for sure, shouldn't you?
It's been a while. It's been a while.
I mean, your brain's younger than my brain. Okay, I just was, yeah.
I also just want to express concern for, I don't know how much we take out for teacher salaries. I am a little concerned, what do our teachers think of this? Because what I know is starting wages here, and I sat in a meeting with Mr. Rice before he came here, talking about teacher retention and how do we do that. And the comment you made was it's going to be really difficult to do when just down the road, 14 miles, 12 miles, whatever it is here on, thousands of dollars more starting wages. So I just have some concern for investment in our teachers as well. So I just want to voice that. My second question is, what are we doing for the safety concerns that I have heard are such a big deal at our track presently? Which I understand the asphalt is a big concern and this project isn't going to be done before next football season. You know, I guess I always have concerns. There's little kids running everywhere, playing in the trees. There's tree branches down everywhere. There's people allowed to drive in there, drive out of there, whenever they want. During the game, middle of the game, before the game. Those are all safety concerns that I think need to be addressed presently, not in 24, 25.
May I answer that? I couldn't agree with you more. When I got here, you typically spend a year watching, and then you start to move forward. Yes, we've had kids that have skinned their knees and have done stuff and have bonked their heads. Yeah, absolutely. That happens a lot of places, but you don't want to have the excuse of, oh, our track's really crappy, so that just adds to the problem. You are right. And so I cannot give you an answer as far as that part is concerned. I was amazed when I got here to find out we didn't have a fence around. We have started to do fencing projects which keep the playground safer, and we do have plans to start moving forward with a fence around the football facility because as an old football coach, as an old track coach, I hate it when people just come in whenever they want and feel like they can steal and do that. I hate it. But sometimes you get, oh, it's all right, we've always done that. Doesn't make it right. I would like to have a fence around there, get some things cleaned up, and now we're starting to work towards that. Is it going to be done next week? No. A lot of times you can't get that stuff done over the winter either. But it is on the list. I just can't give you the appropriate time.
I mean, I appreciate that people can drive in and watch the game. I had a dad that was handicapped, and it allowed him to watch the games. But a lot of people driving in there are questionable if they should be driving in the first place. And then they drive in there. I mean, I am a nurse, and we have this discussion on the daily about people that should not be driving. Absolutely. However, should they be allowed to drive in once there's people in the area? I don't know the answer to that, and that's you guys' thing, but I mean, I'm just saying, part of this is for safety
Address that.
concerns.
It's just a matter of when we can.
Yep, thank you.
So appreciate it.
Thank you for bringing it up.
Is there other B schools that are building tracks to host track meets, or is it just our track?
Oh, yeah.
Warner?
And Warner,
You know, like
did,
in our
Hanson.
district, or are we going to be the only
Oh,
B? I mean,
okay, I'm following you.
like, yeah. Are we the only track, or is there other schools that are going to build tracks too? Or do we have to host them all?
We would be hosting them all.
Well, Springs has they have a track.
But it's
But it's
not
not regulated.
It's regulation.
For junior high.
Yeah,
Yep.
but they use it for junior high.
Woonsocket has a practice track. They have about 2 or 3 lanes around the practice football field.
So the ones I'm aware of, like track meets, we go to either Huron or Miller.
And what's wrong with that?
Miller's track right now, they also didn't let us in quite a few times, and I don't know if Lynn's here to validate how many, but our bishop, but their track is also not the best anymore either, so then we canceled a whole bunch of our track meets last year. So it's actually a good time for us to think about it and look at it, because we would become that hub where we could generate some funds also by, instead of renting a track, having people rent our track and bring those back
What
here.
does that, what does it cost to rent somebody else's track, or what would it protect?
That would be dictated by us. Like Huron, theirs is excessively expensive. That's why everybody's gone away from renting their facility. But we
What
could.
does Miller, like, what do we have to pay Miller for a track meet?
Hundreds of dollars or
Yes, it's
thousands of
hundreds.
dollars or?
You're, I don't know Miller's cost.
Here in
What's Redfield?
Right.
Redfield, it's like,
Redfield has a track.
So if it's
Right.
hundreds of dollars and you have 10 track meets, it's
and they pay.
less than $10,000 a year to rent them.
Yeah, if you're running the meet.
You wouldn't even be you wouldn't even be renting 10. I mean, what do we have, 3 track meets a year? There used to be.
How many would you host, do you think?
Well, I know we would have to reach out to the James Valleys, the Sunshine Bibles, the Hitchcocks, and Spring, they all have their own track meets, but they host them at Huron, Miller, Redfield, wherever. They may have it at our facility. That's what we're thinking. There's 2 ways to think about it. If we had their track meets here, our kids would miss less school. There would be less travel, they would be right here. That's a benefit also. It helps the people in the businesses in town. It would help them. And
Concession stands, and there's
Concession
just lots
stand.
of little things that go along with it that we could bring in.
yeah.
When I was in high school, this was the track, right? Like, we did it in 99, 2001, like, we never left hardly to go to a track meet. Everybody came here because we were a centralized location.
Yeah, it's, to me, it's kind of, I'm showing my age, but I think it's funny because when we poured the asphalt out there, we died and gone to heaven. Because everybody else is running on gravel.
For
you know?
cinder, yeah.
And so to hear, take this, I'm not minimizing, but yeah, I never ran hurdles, because if you're gonna run the hurdles, you better make it over the hurdle, you're gonna hurt it. But it was a fact of life. I also, we cancel track meets today based on a weather prediction of tomorrow, which concerns me. Our kids are tougher than that. When I was in high school, we were up at Warner, and then everybody that was at the track was either in the bus or under the bus, while the last one ran in the hail. And we all looked at each other's bruises. And now we cancel them because it's going to be windy.
Well,
part of
okay,
track.
Jeff, thanks. But, yes, Kathy.
Well, maybe I should wait until you get to the football field part. If there's any more track business, then talk about that, but I do want to talk about the football.
Feel free, yes.
I just have a question. What's wrong with it? Why do we, with as few football games as there is, why do we need to redo the football field? And I know I'm not the only one wondering about that.
And that's fine. That's part of the planning committee. That's why we're here. I mean, as many as you hear, why are we not doing it? I hear more, why are we not fixing it up? Why are we not making it where the drainage goes off, where,
Jim?
yeah,
Just about the football field?
yeah.
Okay, typical grass fields have a crown on it. Are you familiar with that term? Okay, yeah, we do not have a crown at all. So when the water comes, there's no place for it to go. We also have sinkholes, and we do have a couple of what I would call irrigation issues as far as that is trying to keep it in better shape. I would tell you, is it good? I would tell you no. I would tell you no. It needs to have a couple of things done to it for sure. I am not a turf fan at all. I'm not into spending $1.5 million on a turf field. But I am into, hey, can I get a couple of loads of dirt, get it all graded out properly, make sure our sprinkler system's working, get rid of the sinkholes and seed it? Yes, I am. We do not need turf. but we do need to do work on that field to get it back up to the standard that it was at first.
The amount of injuries that come off the turf and turf grass is just amazing on top of that.
Yes, they are.
You're gonna look at probably 2 to 3 times the amount of injuries in a year's time than you're looking at now. It's taking real drastic measures.
And maintain, you know,
And maintenance is still cheap.
maintenance only goes so far. Eventually, it's like your house, you have to replace the shingles. It happens. It's the way it goes,
So
you
is
know.
the sprinkler system?
The sprinkler system is fine.
Oh, okay.
I have to raise the heads.
Yep.
We would have, you know, that would be minimal, because it's in place, it's ready to go. It would just have to be adjusted. So it would be a matter of, you know, stripping that off, bringing dirt in, putting a crown on, seed, sod, depending on cost, whatever. But it would make it safe for the kids. It would, you know, and it's just something you have to do every so often. That's the way it goes.
I obviously wasn't here at the beginning. Current footprint, different footprint, you probably covered that.
It would be a little bit bigger because our track is a 440 track and it'd have to be a 400 track. The city has already given us approval to close the road between the school and the football field, so we could shift everything to the north a little bit.
Is the curb and gutter out there, do you drain into that, or is it surface drainage?
It'd mostly be surface drainage.
And
But-
the outlet of that would go where, Jim?
I'm sorry?
The outlet of that would go where would we funnel the water?
I don't know off
We
the
don't
top of
know
my
that
head,
yet.
Jeff. I mean,
Okay.
it
The
would
only
be
reason
looked
I
at.
ask is because it's got to go someplace,
Right.
and
It would be
if you're
looked at.
down.
Well,
down-
and we would basically just be cutting that road off so nobody's be driving on there. So and then that would give us an opportunity to grade it however we wanted. So, yeah,
And we would still have plenty of parking.
yeah.
We would still have plenty of parking.
Where would people park, though, Todd?
Well, our two lots that we have right now, the west lot, and we still have this lot too.
Okay, under a normal game, those lots fill up, and then people park in the ditch next to the football field. These are full. You'll see them parked along the streets under normal conditions. Now, when you have the big events like a 281 conference type of deal,
Right.
where do they park? Because you're going to get more influx of people. So
Yep.
where is everybody going to park?
You may end up overflow out here, and, you know, and that's something to look at.
Yep.
Okay, I just was,
Yep.
that's something I've thought about.
Yeah, and again, I keep hating to, or hate to keep going back, but, in Menno, they were parking upwards of 6, 7 blocks away when they would have their meets with 16, 17 teams there. Yeah, you know how it is, you find a spot. It's like when you go to the Vikings and you have to block 2 miles away.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't know if there were plans to put in another parking lot someplace or another facility.
We'd look at it. I don't know where it would fit, but maybe we could fit some of it in where that road gets taken off. Possibility.
Yes?
Smith and Wall have both put in tracks in the last few years. And they have the same enrollment we do, K-12. Has anybody contacted either one of those schools to see what was the benefit of actually putting that in? Same exact number of kids. Has it done anything for enrollment? Has it done anything for, like, revenue-wise? What's, like, and get their opinions on what it costs to actually upkeep something like that?
So I have a friend who actually is with the Smith school system after they redid theirs about 4 years ago. With all their stuff, their enrollment on their kids actually went up like almost 150 kids from around the area. I mean, one could work and run on the new track and play on the new field because of that.
It went up 150 kids.
You know, right at that somewhere there.
So I mean, whether or not you gain, yeah, but whether or not you gain that many has yet to be seen. The only communication that I have made with, and I have talked with Wallen DeSmit actually, was just like, how did the process go for you? What were you guys doing to raise funds? And they did have some big benefactors. And then some of them also have, I would just say, a lot more taxable ground than we do. Now, the teachers did have a couple of great questions yesterday. One was about the parking, and then, we got into the capital outlay talk a little bit. And I would tell you Not all the teachers are on board. I mean, since when is anybody in a room, all of us, going to agree on one thing and have 100% agreement? You're just not. And so when I was talking with the teachers yesterday, yeah, we have some that are like, yes, move forward. And we have others like, no. We're fine with that. What we're trying to do is gauge the interest and seeing, is this something that we have an appetite for down the road? Because the other term that I use is destination. I want this place to be a destination. What's that?
I got a question about the mill levy.
Yes.
The 2.8 is not the total mill levy.
No, it's not. He's just
No.
talking capital outlay.
Yep.
On the capital
Yeah,
outlay.
just capital outlay, sir.
So, if this loan is paid off in 2 years, and you do not decide to go ahead with this program, and that drops off, where's this extra money going to come from the teachers?
The money that is gonna fall off is the money we're using to pay for the debt. So that isn't really what's paid to the teachers. That's our.
But you said earlier there was $400,000.
Well, that's it coming from that 2.3.
So there would be no money needed if this levy, this mill levy drops off. The teachers will not be shorter than pay.
No.
Okay.
Because what,
So the general fund is what pays your teacher, the capital outlay is, I know like a savings.
and so the part that falls off is the part that we use to pay the debt. So I mean, that part's not. That's
Yeah, that's the only part that falls off, sir. So, thank you.
Any other questions?
Just as a comment,
Yes.
$270,000 a year in payments seems like a lot to host athletic events. My thought is schools are for education, 100% sold on the value of all the athletics. I mean, I think the core should be quality education, get the minds working.
Well, that was one.
My thought.
Up here. How does this project add to the education of our children? Because that was asked yesterday too. And so, understand, this is only my answer. It's not theirs. This is my answer. So what I put up there was, I just said, I refer this to, or as the hidden curriculum. So when we talk about hidden curriculum, it's not written down in your book or anything else, how we line up, you know, for school when we're going someplace. And so I look at that like learning from winning and losing, how to be humble, how to promote positive and active lifestyles, how to come together for the good of all, how do you pay it forward. Future students and community members are going to be using this as well. How do you show and express civic pride? The lessons learned from hard work and sacrifice. One thing that the students here hear from me all the time, whether it's in the classroom or on the field or whether it is in oral interp or one-act play. Hard work and sacrifice don't always pay off, but you should do it anyway. You should do it anyway. And so that's kind of what I look at it. These are all lessons that are learned outside of the classroom. But again, I'm one person. I am one person. I know what the track and the football and even a playground did for Tommy Rice when he was a little kid, growing up and then moving on, because someone had to pay it forward for me. So now I can pay it forward for someone else. But again, that's just me.
Mr. Bishop, how many people did we have throughout the track last year?
In the last couple of years, we've had right at about 70 students that have gone out athletically. I think you have those numbers from Mrs. Utek, correct?
Yeah, so I was gonna comment. I think it's great. Your comment is great, and our education is our number one, right? But to some of these kids, it's their why. Like, the sports is their why, right? I can speak for Kaylin. Her why is volleyball and track, right? If she didn't have that to come to school, she wouldn't be putting in the effort to for the grades. But she knows that she has to be able to play. We have approximately 100 kids in our high school. 70 of them went out for track last year. So if that's their why and it's their reason to do better and like what gets them up in the morning and comes because they know that they have to go to practice after school, athletics are just a piece of it, but I feel like it is a big part of what our children do and why they do the things that they do.
And that 70 does actually include the junior high also.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's out of about 100, it's actually about half of our student population, 7 through 12, that are involved in track. And I was going to just jump into, as far from the standpoint of coaching track, being involved or whatever, most of it for me is about opportunity. I still remember the first year that I came here, I was so excited because I found out that we did not have pole vault. And I came and I asked Amy and I believe Jennifer at that time, I said, hey, what about getting pole vault? And they said, well, what do you need? I said, well, can we get a couple of poles? We spent about $400 the first year on pole vault. Well, now 6 years down the road, like we had 6 kids, we filled out our entire pole vault team that went and got to achieve going to state. Now, if you ask James the Young, they didn't quite achieve what they wanted to because they finished a couple of 9th places. But with that hard work and with those opportunities, that's where our kids are looking at, and it drives them to succeed and to come and to do things that I know. So Emery was all about pole vault. We knew that that's what she was going to do and stuff, and that was a great thing for her. She excelled at it, and this is just about opportunities for those kids to kind of push forward and see what they can achieve. So that's where I lie with that.
When we're in season, the GPAs are a lot better too. I have fewer kids on the missing work list or even in trouble. I don't have hard data for you, that I've done over the years, but boy, do I know that when we're in season, kids don't get in trouble as much and they get their work in.
You guys have anything else? Okay. All right, well, I have had 2 kids go through the school. I've got grandbaby in the system now that hopefully we'll be getting into it. I just want to make this a place for the kids that want to come, whether when the parents come and they see a new playground that's safe and secure and a football stadium that's safe and secure and surrounded by fence and all that. And, I look at this community, I look at the Wessington community, I look at our teachers, I look at our students, I look at all those young kids. And at the vendor fair today, I saw, I don't know how many 1, 2, 3-year-olds. You know what? It's a bet I'm willing to take, and that's why we're out here and we're proposing it. So you guys have an opportunity and we want to hear you. And we'll be getting this committee, and we're also doing a meeting Wednesday in Wessington. And I'm sure this is the first meeting of many, but at least we want to hear you. We want to hear your concerns, and we appreciate everybody speaking up tonight. And we have a board meeting. The next one is going to be the 18th. Feel free to come and send us emails, send us texts, call us, see us on the street. Let us
Jim's
know.
number and my number on the back of that brochure too.
So
I do want to say thanks. The tone that I hear here is better than when we had meetings in the past. There were some things that happened in the past that bothered me. One, it was recommended we do this, we don't need to have a community meeting. That's wrong. You're spending tax dollars. The way you're doing this, I appreciate what you're doing. I don't hear the answer. I have, your questions you had up there
Yes.
prior, some of those same ones, another parent of kids said, I know people that aren't coming here because there's no band chorus teacher. I don't know people that aren't coming because football track. Mm-hmm. I said, you know what, you said that, I will, but you touched on it there. Maybe you need to, because I know it's hard to read a lot of that, but.
I can send this to anybody who wants it, folks, because I'm an open book when it comes to this. You mentioned band, and not to get off track, but I'm still advertising.
Yeah.
I am still advertising.
Yeah, Suzanne and I had.
That's what I said. I'm like,
Yeah.
if you get any applicants, you don't have a choice.
Yep.
You
Yeah,
can't
where's-
hire if you don't have that choice.
Yet where's our pay in comparison to wherever these teachers are going?
There were 4 band
I know that.
graduates.
but I know high.
That's
higher-
off subject, yeah, that's a whole
Yeah,
other.
except he
but-
has it on the slide. So
Right,
it
because
was
that was a
pointed
question
this
that came up from some of the teachers and stuff, and that's when we were explaining the difference between the funds.
Yeah.
So I'm more than willing to talk about that at a different time. Absolutely.
So can I get a motion to adjourn? Tara, that's the second. Thank you, everybody. We'll be at Wessington Wednesday night at 7. Feel free to reach out, and I'm sure there's going to be more meetings coming, as well as if you want to be part of the strategic planning committee, let me know, let Mr. Rice know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we'll go from there.
I wondered if Mike gave it
Nope, I
Thank
have
you,
you down.
everybody.
It's on my board. Thank you, Jim. Right here.